Thank you so much for being here with me. It definitely means the world to me that you're spending this next hour on this webinar. I do hope that you've got a pen and paper handy because I'm going to try to cover as much as I can here. So writing down the things that you know you want to take action on will be helpful for you. I've become incredibly fascinated with all things related to websites and SEO over the last year. So I'm very passionate about this topic, and I absolutely could go on, but I do want to respect your time. So I'll keep it at a 1 hour session, maybe a little less, so I can leave room for questions at the end. And then speaking of questions, please use the chat box. I mean, the Q&A box specifically. There's the chat box and then there's the Q&A box. Please use the Q&A box that's available for you for questions as they come up while I'm presenting. I'll be using that Q&A box to answer questions at the end. And as far as the chat box goes, please do me a favor of going into that chat box and answering the question that I have shown here, which is what's one feature you wish your website had? Or if you don't have one yet and you're going to be building one soon, what's one feature you know you're going to want your website to have? This webinar is meant to inspire you and give you ideas on how you can improve your website performance. If you pay money for your website, it's an investment. You can think of it like an employee and it should be working for you. And as far as employees who work for you, you need to train them, right? When you have new employees, you want to train them to perform well. You want to give them that great training and set expectations and evaluate them over time. Your website is no different. So let's talk about it a little. And then again, just a reminder, if you came in late, I do recommend that you have, your notebooks out because it would be best to be taking notes. I don't want you to rely only on the recording of this because how often do we realistically go back and rewatch a webinar that we already attended? It would be better if you took your own notes on the things that are important to you so that you can look back at them. I've always learned that when you physically write something down, that's kind of what helps you to remember. So please go find something to write with. And again, if you're just joining us, be sure to answer that question that's in the chat box. What's one feature you wish your website had? So let's go ahead and get into it. I'm eager to start to just get going with the presentation, but I'll take 1 minute to introduce myself if we have never met before. My name is Dani Christine. I entered this world of childcare back in 2010 as a preschool teacher in a local daycare in my hometown. I started when I was in high school. Yes, 2010, I was still in high school at that time. And I would go work in their preschool room in the afternoons after I got out of school. I went to college in 2011, my undergrad freshman year. I was studying childhood education. I thought I was going to be an elementary school teacher, but I ended up falling in love with the little ones while I was working in the daycare. So I was working full time in the daycare and also going to school. A few years after that, in 2014, I left that daycare and started my own inside my home in Queens, New York. I started a group family daycare. And about 3 years after that, I had the opportunity to open a center. So I documented my journey both with group family daycare and my center and on YouTube. Most of you may know me from my YouTube channel. And that's kind of what sparked my consulting. I started consulting because I got a lot of questions under the comment section of my YouTube video, the videos that I would create. And in 2020, I did expand, my team and I expanded into our second center location. The year after that, in 2021, we opened our third location. And just last year, we contracted with New York State to open our fourth site on a state university campus. So a lot has happened in the last 10 years, and I absolutely would not be where I am today with my team without a powerful, functioning website. And you might be asking yourself, what does she mean by functional? I mean that it needs to work. It actually needs to work how you want it to. And it might sound like, duh, Dani, obviously the website needs to work. But you'd be surprised how many companies' websites in general are either broken links or have buttons that lead to nowhere. If there are buttons or links or things to download, you need to make sure that when a visitor clicks on it, what happens is what you expect to happen. And I'll actually give you an example from my own website because as I was preparing for this webinar and going through my website planning to show you, I realized that there was a button of my own that wasn't functioning exactly how I needed it to function. So I'll open up my website and figure that out right now. Here is my website's homepage. My program is called Academic Explorers. And if you scroll down and click on Schedule Tour, right? I mentioned that we have 4 locations. We have a button where you can register. You can select the location you'd like to register at, and then we have a schedule tour button. But if you notice, there's only 4 options here. I forgot to go back and update this this button on our website once we were ready to begin touring, which was about 2 weeks ago. So that's just an example of how it's important to go back and continue looking through the web pages and buttons and links and everything that you're offering on your website. Okay, so the next thing is that it needs to be user friendly. The average person needs to be able to navigate your website with ease. It also needs to have some sort of action that users can take besides calling you. So here's some more examples of that. So I know a lot of websites, of course, you're going to put your phone number for people to give you a call when they are ready to enroll or when they would like to schedule their tour. But you can kind of let them do it themselves if they'd like to register or schedule a tour. If you just simply had buttons that encourage people to do that. So on our site, we do have a register button, that we do have a schedule tour section all over our page, all over our web pages. We have opportunities for families to get started with taking an action. Some people are unable to make a phone call at the time they're browsing for childcare. They could be working, it could be very late and your program is closed. They might not want to talk to you. Or they could have tried to reach you and maybe you were busy, but they're eager to get started. So you want to give them a way to register now or schedule a tour or even like a simple contact form, contact us, and let them reach out to you on their terms when they're ready. Another way that your website is functional is if it's optimized for various devices and screen sizes. So your website should absolutely be optimized for mobile. People do a lot of their searching on their phones nowadays. In the month of April, 71% of my childcare program's website visitors came from mobile devices. So that means most people who stumbled across my website were not desktop users. They weren't using a computer, at least in the month of April. And honestly, it's mostly mobile every month. And I would gamble and say that's probably the same for you if you have a website. Make sure that your website is formatted for mobile use. So this video to the left of the screen is showing you what my program's mobile view looks like. Everything is in alignment, centered down the phone. Things are not, kind of all over the place. That's something that's easily overlooked by a lot of business websites, not even just childcare in general. We spend a lot of time making a nicely designed website for the computer because we're sitting at the computer doing it. But it is far too often that I see that the mobile view is not as good as it could be. So pay attention to that. We also need to make sure your website is optimized for search engines, which is a whole other ball game. I used to focus heavily on what my website looked like. I thought that if it was pretty or structured nicely, it would be impressive to families and that would result in new enrollments. And while that's not necessarily 100% false, in order for parents to look at your pretty site, they need to discover it first. So let's talk about SEO for a little bit. SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. While it's great to have a user-friendly website that's beautifully designed and attention-grabbing, you cannot ignore the copy. Copy refers to the words you see on a website homepage, about page, product or service pages. It's the actual text that you see, the writing. The information you're typing on the website needs to be relevant to what your website visitors will be looking for so that you don't have a high bounce rate. I want to point out the Q&A box again. If you have any questions during this presentation, please add them to the Q&A box and I'll address them at the end of the webinar. Your website should also, the website's copy also needs to include keywords that people are searching for when they're looking for childcare. Those keywords are typically things like daycare, childcare, preschool, home daycare, or it could be Montessori or free pre-K, things like that. It should also include your location, mentioned a few times throughout your paragraphs. If you have multiple locations like I do, you should have separate pages for each location. Each of those location pages should have a similar format that resemble a home page and still be packed with informative keyword-rich copy. So just to give you an example of that, so like I showed you before, this is our program's homepage, little reviews, form, yada, yada, yada. But if you go to the locations page and you were to click on one of those location pages, it kind of does look like a home page as well. It has a photo of the front of our building, a little informative video about the program. It mentions the neighborhood multiple times throughout it. It explains what our programs and services are that we offer, but we also have the unique features of information about the staff and employees that are at that specific location and specific reviews for that location, both text format pulled from Google and video reviews. We also have, of course, the map for that location. It's just specifically about that location, but it is heavily rich with keywords, whether that's through the small paragraphs or honestly within the family's testimonials, their reviews have those keywords in them. Okay. If you're trying to get your website to rank higher on Google than your competitors, you actually have to look at your competitors' website copy. How often are they using those keywords? And again, those keywords, daycare, childcare, preschool, home daycare, Montessori, free pre-K, your neighborhood name, how often are they using those keywords? If they use words like that 4 times on their daycare page, you would want to use it 5 or 6 times. But please don't go crazy with like jam-packing keywords into your website copy. It needs to sound as natural as possible and actually make sense to the person reading it. So you're going to have to get creative. Because if your website is hard to understand or just annoying to read because it doesn't make that much sense, you risk increasing that bounce rate and dropping the ball on new leads that come across your website. And bounce rate refers to the percentage of visitors who left your website after viewing only one page. You want people to be enticed enough to actually click around to all the different pages and see what you have to offer. But if they're reading a paragraph and it doesn't make sense, it's just full of random keywords, they might not find what they're looking for. And By the way, ranking refers to a website's position in the search engine results. And again, if you have questions, please use the Q&A box as we go through the webinar. There's a specific box just for Q&A. All right. You also need to make sure your primary headings and subheadings are labeled properly within your web design and used correctly if you want your website to rank high in those search results. Primary headings are known as H1 tags and subheadings are known as H2, H3, H4 tags. These are the HTML tags, which stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Doesn't matter. You don't need to know that. You really don't need to know that much. Don't get hung up on like the technical terms, but that's what HTML stands for. Think of your primary headings like the headline of a newspaper article. They're supposed to be attention grabbing and give the website visitors an idea of what to expect. Subheadings are like smaller sign points along the way. They break the content down into more digestible sections and help website visitors navigate through longer pieces of content on the page. So this is an example of, I took a screenshot of me in the editor's view of my website. So you can see that this Quality Daycare Centers in Nassau County where is highlighted and it's showing that I have the HTML tag as H1. That is my primary heading. And then if I were to have highlighted underneath, it would have had, we put the child first as a subheading. And this little paragraph is labeled as a P, which stands for paragraph. The headings also tell Google and other search engines what your web page is about, and it helps to determine its positioning on search results. Let's get into some of what you may find to be more fun that's not as technical as SEO, which is the content. Obviously, as we talked about before, there should be text, meaning the typed out keyword-rich information on your web pages. You want to show real pictures of your program. It would be even better if you can plug in some videos, as you see that we have on our program pages. Parents love to see these reviews. People in general love to see reviews before making a decision to buy, right? So most importantly, there should be also multiple opportunities on your pages for site visitors to give you their contact information. That data is extremely valuable. We have collected information from about 4,000 people in our local community onto our contact list as a result of our forms. So I'll show you what I mean by that. This simple first name, last name, email, that's a form, right? We entice people to give us their information by offering them something to fill out this form. And that's how they're getting added to our list from this specific web page. If you go to the register button and click on book now because you want to book a tour, and you pick an available date, that brings you to a booking form. This is an opportunity to collect people's information and add them to the contact list on the back end of our website. Your forms can be as simple as this, an option to schedule a tour online. It could be as simple as the contact us page that just gives people an opportunity to type a question over to you. It could be a chat box. We have a chat box on our website. You want to give them an opportunity to do something on your site to give you their contact information because they might not be ready to commit right away. And you could also offer some sort of thing that you can send them in exchange for their name and their email. So if they were to bypass like the register button, the schedule button, the sign up now buttons, this question of how do you choose the right childcare program? Enter your info and we'll email you free resources. We send them over a comparison checklist. We send them over a video, a private video that we put together for parents that need childcare assistance. So absolutely give them something that they can get in exchange for giving you their contact information. Now, of course, if your website is performing well, you're going to have many visitors giving you their contact info each day. You're not going to have time to manually sit down and send off the things you promised one by one in a timely manner. Your website should have automations connected to it. Whenever visitors type their details into my company's website to submit a form, something actually happens. It's not just they type in their information and that's it. They type their information in and it triggers something. Usually they immediately receive an email with whatever offer is promised. So in the example I gave before with this specific form, if they type in their name and their email address and click get free resources, we will email them the link to that video and the document to download the school comparison checklist. Or they can get a email or text message to confirm their tour booking or their interview booking, because we also have automation set up for staff or potential staff if they're applying on our website. Like we have a careers page, and on that careers page, they can click into a job application, read the job description, and submit the job application form. And then if we move forward with them as a candidate, on the back end, we'll send them the link to schedule their interview. So I don't even have to call people to schedule an interview. The interviews happen on Zoom. So they're not, that's a whole nother topic. Or their contact info is automatically added to a list within our customized workflow, so a member of our team can call or text them. So what do I mean by workflow? And before I get into that, I just want to remind everyone to use the Q&A box if questions are arising as I'm going through this. Andrea is asking if this recording will be shared. Yes, it will be. If you stay till the end, though, you have a great advantage at a good opportunity. So hopefully you're still sticking around to the end. But yes, this will be recorded. Also, be sure to be taking notes, because I find it rare that people do actually go back and rewatch a full hour webinar that they already watched one time. So take notes on the things that stick out to you. That might be more beneficial, but it is going to be shared. Anyway, what do I mean by workflows? After that initial immediate email, some automations are scheduled to go out to our candidates, or either candidates or new family inquiries again a couple days later, depending on where they're positioned within our workflow. These are a few screen grabs of the back end system of our website, where we have one of our many workflows that we call the enrollment process. These are the steps, these big bolded letters at the top of each of these white rectangles. They're called steps. I customized those steps to build out how we are monitoring new leads as they go from initially reaching out to us or filling out a form on our website all the way up until the point that they have started. So they go from lead created to we contacted them to they scheduled a tour, their tour was completed, that we followed up after a tour, or if whatever in between that, if they ghosted us, if they didn't answer our calls or didn't show up for the tour, we have a step for that too. And the reason that we have all these different steps is because we want to add people's contact information under the right step. You have to remember that we're filling out we're trying to fill nearly 300 spaces across all of our centers. But even if we weren't, even if I was still in the position of a home daycare provider, as a home daycare provider, you're very busy. You're likely doing most of the hands-on work with the kids, and you may have to balance doing that hands-on work probably 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 or hours a day, and managing the business side of having people answering inquiries from people that want to enroll your children. It might be hard to balance, and having a system that can follow up with families for you is absolutely essential. So, with trying to balance all of this, we have in the back end of our website system, we have the ability to have our contacts as what the system calls cards. We use Wix as our website host. It is a reliable host that has customer service support. And on the back end of Wix, they have something called workflows, which is this screen grab that I'm showing you right now. So this is the back end of Wix specifically. I'm not sure if other website builders also have this, but this is what we use. So these are all contact cards where if we were to click into it, it would expand and show the name, phone number, email, and any notes that we have made, myself, my parent coordinator, our virtual assistant, anybody that has access to this area of the back end of our website. We can all see the notes in one place for each card, which is a contact profile. So we drag and drop these contact profiles from one step to the next as they need to be moved over. Or honestly, in some instances, they're automatically moved over by Wix itself. So for example, from tour scheduled, if someone goes to our website and fills out that booking form to schedule a tour, they automatically get dropped right here to the tour scheduled step. And once that time ends of the tour scheduled, I think we set it as about an hour or two delay, it automatically moves them over to tour completed, which triggers emails and text messages to go out to the family and to go out to our administrative team to follow up with them. And once we do follow up with them, we then can manually drag them and drop them over to followed up after tour. It took some time to build out, but once we built it, it is now so easy. Which company do you use for virtual assistant? Margaret asks. No company. I have hired internally. We have a full-time virtual assistant on our staff. That was what we would prefer to do. And she loves her job, and we trust her, and she's local, so we're able to really work closely with her. I would be hesitant to hire someone from overseas or a different company, but that's just me. I don't have that experience. But back to the automations and the email follow-ups. Have you ever heard the saying about how it takes 7 touches to make a sale? Well, that can be true in childcare as well. 7 touches refers to the amount of times you can contact someone. This could include phone calls, text messages, emails, in-person conversations, paper mail through USPS, billboards, and whatever other marketing strategies there are. It said that it could take at least 7 times before someone actually makes the commitment to a purchase. And your automations should include those follow-ups as well. You are busy. You might not have time to personally make all those touches. And even if you think you do, you may forget. Having automations allows you to set it and forget it. And you can take all the time you need to initially set everything up. It did take us, honestly, I started building the website once we opened back in 2017, but I didn't really discover all these back-end systems within Wix that provided solutions for us until last year. So it took me about a year to figure all of this out and build out all the different functions. But take all the time that you need to set everything up, make sure that it works properly, and then just let it do its thing. This is why I say that your website can be a fantastic employee because it is working for you. It is a true investment, not just into your marketing, but the operations of your administrative functions as well. So, for those of you that are still here with me, how are you feeling? Let me know in the chat box. Are you excited about your web design? Are you nervous? Are you already working on your backend systems as I'm talking? I know that this may feel overwhelming for some of you, but I promise that I am here to help. And like I said in the beginning of this webinar, websites and SEO have become an obsession of mine lately. And I see that Sarah says she's excited and overwhelmed. Mimi says she's excited for sure. That is where I am too. Every time I talk about my web design and especially the back end systems, when I have to go in and fix something or customize something else, like we recently added more workflows and automations for the summertime. Like as we're switching seasons, we have to re-customize our emails that go out to families. Like once they click register, we now have to talk about we're registering for summer instead of we're registering for the fall. So things like that. But everything that I have learned, and because I'm so excited, I decided that I'm going to package it all into a course this summer. It's called Childcare Remote Control, and I'm going to be starting it on July 14th. So this webinar showed you some of the important aspects of a great website's front end appearance and some of what the back end systems can do. But like I mentioned before, it took me many years to get our website to function the way that it does, to get to this point of having over 4,000 people on our daycare companies contact list locally within the communities that the centers are in. We have about 50 customized automations. We've created a self-paced virtual orientation for our staff. We have a virtual phone number on the back end of our website that we can text parents from our site. We accept online payments. We have a booking calendar and so much more that's just easily accessible on our website. It's all in one. And I can't possibly share, unfortunately, all the how-tos of each of those items in just this 1 hour. But more than that, for those of you who are serious about getting your site done properly and actually understanding how it all works, I want to personally help you and hold your hand through the process of building it. So Childcare Remote Control is actually more than just a course. It's a 4-week coaching program that will help you DIY a web design that you love and provide the systems and solutions for your administrative work like I was talking about before. I used to make websites for clients a few years ago, but I always felt passionate about educating them on how to maintain it themselves after the build out was done. And I don't want you to feel like you have to hand over your website management to someone else, because a lot of these companies charge way too much in monthly recurring fees to host your website. And I promise you could do it yourself. You don't need to pay recurring fees to a website manager. Like, you can do it yourself. And what's better is that if you do it yourself, you maintain control. If you want to update your forms or add something to your program calendar or put up an RSVP link for an event at your daycare, you can do it on your own in a few minutes rather than submitting a request to your web designer and waiting however long it may take to get it done, if they're even willing to do it. Because when you go with a done-for-you service, you lose the ability to create something unique. Those services usually stick to 1 or 2 templates and change some details and some photos here and there for our hundreds of clients that they may have. So my course is going to help you establish your own unique identity online with your own company's unique branding and teach you more about the basics of SEO so you can manage and improve your website on your own even after the course ends. We're also going to go over CRM and create the exact forms you need on your web pages with the automations that work best for your business. I remember feeling so stuck and overwhelmed the first couple of years in business because there's so much to do. We're juggling so many plates, and as childcare business leaders, but having a beautifully designed, functioning, powerful website with a lot will provide a lot of relief you need once it's all finally built out. It will help you to increase your enrollment and recruitment and onboard new staff and manage your customer service experience with new inquiries. So it really doesn't matter the size of your program. I know that I have 4 centers right now and it's a lot going on. But like I said before, I started in business as a home daycare provider. So I've been in all seats. I've been a home daycare provider doing the hands-on work with the kids. I've been a center director for a brand new startup center for a couple of years. I've had administrators under me or training them on site, and now I work off site as we continue to expand our location. But as a home daycare provider, I did have a website too. It wasn't as good as the one we have now because I didn't know all that I know now, but I still had one. So if you're at all interested, I'm offering everyone that watched this webinar up until this point to the opportunity to apply for the course now. There is an application process only because I need to make sure this course is the right fit for you personally and make sure it's the right time for you. If it's not the right fit based on your application, I'm going to be honest with you. And I can only accept a limited amount of people since we're going to be doing live group calls during that time period from July 14th to August 9th. And we're going to have personal follow-up consultations, like one-on-one meetings after the course ends. So I do need to be realistic about my capacity of how many people I can accept into this program to help, to give you that individualized attention that you need. Because again, I am truly here to help. So go ahead and scan this QR code to apply now for childcare remote control. Because again, if you're watching this live right now, you do have first dibs on an application, and I'll be reviewing them in the order that we're receiving them. The course, once again, is July 14th to August 9th. So I hope to see you in it. But it's question and answer time. So let me go ahead and go through the Q&A box. Again, this is the time to ask any questions that you may have. I'll try to get through as many of them as possible. We have a lot more time left than expected. So Stephanie Cole says, how many web pages do you recommend for an in-home childcare? That's a great question. I've heard many different opinions on how many pages a daycare website should have in general. But I really think it depends on what you need. So for example, absolutely a home page. If you're a home daycare and you only have one location, you do not need a locations page. You could make something that is more of a what's called a landing page, where there's like the whole website is just one page. Like, just transparently, if you were to have scanned this QR code, it's going to bring you to my landing page for childcare remote control. As you can see, like if you click on one of the menu options at the top, all it just did was drag you down to the same page. So your daycare page could be set up just like that, where if you're clicking on something, it's only going to bring you down further on the page to where that information is relevant. So if you don't want to have so many complicated, not complicated, it's not complicated, but you don't need that many pages, you could just do one landing page. For me, in my program, we do a lot of events. So, and I know a lot of home daycares do events as well. And we, as childcare providers, we have, calendars throughout the year. So I would recommend for home daycares to have at least a home page, and a calendar page where families can view the different events that you have going on, and you can create RSVP links for those events. So again, bringing back to forums, like if you want people to, I worked with a client once that had different like extracurricular events in her home daycare that parents would pay for upon booking, like as they needed. So you could build something out like that. This is why I love Wix so much and do it yourself web design so much, because you really can make it how whatever you want to make it. I don't think there's a right or wrong with how many web pages you need for home daycare. It really just depends on what you're comfortable with. And as long as it's optimized for search engines, that if it is just one home page, then really make sure all the details on there, the copy, the text is has more keywords than your competitor. 1 or 2 pages plus a contact page is really all you need. If you wanted to do a booking form or booking calendar for tours so that people can help themselves instead of calling you, because I know as home daycare providers, your hands are always full, you could do a booking page as well. Lycia says, when designing our website, someone's asking for the QR code. Here you go, Samantha. When designing our website, can we use testimonials from cards or notes we received from previous parents without their consent? I don't see why not. If you feel uncomfortable about, I mean, you have the documentation that they left you. What was the purpose of you collecting a testimonial? Why did you ask for it if you're not going to use it somewhere? And I think parents would understand that as well. Like, why did you ask for a testimonial if you weren't going to publish it? But if you do feel a way about publishing it without their consent, you could just use their first name and an initial, or just their initials. Like here on our program's homepage, I put the first name and the initial. And I only put the location because like I mentioned before, keyword rich, our programs are in Roosevelt, Merrick, Uniondale. I wanted to make sure those location names were there, and those parents happen to be parents from those center locations. So you don't have to put their full name if you don't feel comfortable with doing that. But if they left you a review or a testimonial and it was written down, I would assume that they know that you're going to share it. Margaret says she's stressed out. Don't be stressed out, girl. Here's the link. use the QR code and let's get you unstressed. Kalisha says, did you have a website when you did in-home daycare as well? Yes, Kalisha, I had a home daycare website. I closed my home daycare, I think it was in 2007, in 2018, I think. So that website has been inactive and it is long gone. So I can't show you, but I did have a home daycare website too. Kiara says, will you have another course soon after the first one? I will be in Bali during those dates and I really could use the help. Kiara, Bali sounds fun. I'm not sure, Kiara. But if you do join the course, you will only need to be live for the 1-hour group coaching calls, and you would have access to the other course materials every Sunday, like dripped out on Sundays, like where you can go through the videos and presentations on your own. So even if you are going to be out of the country, if you do have 1 hour to dedicate to those live group calls, and if you don't, they'll be recorded and uploaded so you could watch it after. And then when you come back from Bali, we could do your personal live private video call to follow up and see how your course design, your website design has been going, or how, like, I will help you afterwards. So I wouldn't wait. And I don't want to make any promises that I can't keep. So for now, this is what I've got. July 14th to August 9th. You can do it at your own pace and join in on those live calls when you can, or watch the recording. Chris is asking, what software or integrations do you recommend for automation? Childcare remote control. I will be showing you the exact sort of automations that you can build out on the back end of your website, Chris. If you join this course, it will guide you through building or transferring your website to Wix. If you already have a website, that's also something to address. If you already have a website, but you're not happy with it, you can transfer your domain over to Wix, and this course will teach you how to build out your automations. You don't need to integrate anything. You really don't need to integrate anything. The booking calendar is in there. The forms are linked directly to your website. Wix has hundreds of built-in apps that you can add on and customize your site the way that you want to, and the back-end systems that work for you. So hopefully that answers your question, but you don't need to integrate anything else. And that's also, not to be very frustrated, but that's also kind of why I wanted to make childcare remote control, because nowadays there's just so many softwares that are being sold to you guys, to us as childcare providers. I have spent thousands of dollars over the years on softwares that I was not really using because either I couldn't understand it or it wasn't exactly what I needed, and I couldn't customize it, or it was too hard to, like, it wasn't user friendly. I couldn't figure it out. Plus, I also had my website with Wix. When I realized all the different things that I can do within Wix in the back end, let me see if I can. When I realized all the different options of things that I can do in the back end of Wix, I canceled a lot of subscriptions with softwares that I didn't need anymore. So like here, there's a booking calendar app. There's an events app, like I showed you before. On our calendar page, you can plug in an area for people to RSVP to events that you're having, fill out, and yeah, events. You can accept payments so people can make purchases on your website. You can have an online program, which is very transparently my childcare remote control course is going to be an online program with Wix. So if you're accepted into the course, you'll be logging in to my website to take the course. You can have a blog, which we do have a blog as a childcare business as well. We have different blog posts up for families to take advantage of, and of the resources within them, but it also helps with SEO, which I'll cover more in the course. You can upload videos into the back end of Wix. You can chat with people. I would click into that, but it's honestly going to show you people's contact information, which I am not going to do. But we have an ongoing chat, which to us looks like a chat, but to parents, it's literally texting on their phone. Or it connects to the chat button on our website. If people are navigating our website, they can talk to us and it pops up as an alert. Wix also has an app for your phone. So if you want to text with people, email people, or chat with people, you can do that from the app on your phone instead of giving them your personal number. There's also email marketing on the back end of Wix, and you can see your website's performance for analytics. And then there's also the automations. So there is really no need to plug in to integrate any other software. Chris, hopefully that answers your question. Danick now says, how do you go about getting video testimonials, and also how often a week would you suggest we check our website once we complete it? You don't need to check your website multiple times a week after it's done. I mean, like, as you're building it out, it will probably take you a few weeks, which is why childcare remote control is designed to last 4 weeks, because it will likely take you that amount of time if you are also working within your childcare business. It may take some time. So during that process of actually creating all your pages and putting your forms and adding your apps, you may be checking it often every day. But once it's all finished being built, I would say like checking the buttons and links and things like that to make sure it's functioning properly, maybe once a quarter, at least when your seasons are changing and you're getting ready to enroll more kids, like just, click through the different things to make sure everything is operating as expected. But the first couple of weeks you're probably going to be on it every day. Nick now also asked, how do I go about getting video testimonials? So whenever this is a whole separate subject in itself, but whenever we have events, we make sure that we have a space that's, nicely set up where we can have families stand to take a video of them. So we have either the directors do it, or our marketing manager who goes around to each center will do it. And they stand there and do their video testimonial. We take the video of them speaking, and then we just add it to our website. That's how we do it. You could also, guys, there is a company that sells you the opportunity to get video testimonials from people. Why though? Like, you're literally interacting with these parents on a daily basis, but obviously they may not have time to do that at pickup and drop off. But if you have events, like we had our Mother's Day Muffins with Mom celebration last week Friday. At that celebration, at that event, we had this sort of setup as well, where we have balloons, a nice little background as they were coming in or as they were leaving. Do you mind, you're here already, like, do you mind taking a video? It was very quick. We had several parents do that for us happily. You don't need to pay somebody for a software to, have them do a video at home. This is nice. It's professional. It's pretty. You don't know what they're going to give you from home, and you don't want to be too bossy with directing them for videos. We try to make it natural and organic. So that's how we get the video testimonials. We just do it on site whenever we're having events like parents coming into the center, or at our graduation ceremony. That's also a good time to get reviews. Both video testimonials and reviews on Google. We really push our reviews on Google for when families are coming into the building for events. We set up a QR code that, looks just like this. We make it look nice on a printed piece of paper, put it in an acrylic stand, or put it on our door or window as parents are coming in, leaving. Literally say to them, do you mind leaving a review for us? Like, and they do. So events are a great time to get reviews. How often do you ask for testimonials and any tips? Hopefully that answers your question. When you go to Google, like, your business should be listed on Google. If you're enrolling into childcare remote control or applying for my course, in the course, there's going to be a whole segment on your Google business page. It's free to have. You can figure it out yourself right now if you want to, but make a Google business page, and then there is a link specifically that you can give to people or add into a QR code to get them to quickly just get to the page where they're giving you that star rating. instead of telling them, go to Google, type in academic explorers, click on reviews. Like there's a link that takes you right there. So that's my biggest tip. Just have a QR code with the review link embedded into it and keep that available for you to quickly point to and be like, do you mind leaving a review for me? It would really mean a lot whenever you can. You want to get reviews coming often. Chris, I have one more question. Curtis says, how do you add forms for parents and employees to fill out like applications and enrollment forms? Well, I don't know what type of website builder you or host you have, so I can't really answer that question for you personally right now. But if you do and apply for, and if you get accepted into Childcare Remote Control, I will be showing you how to do that with Wix. Go to Wix. If you don't want to wait or you don't feel like, enrolling in the course, you can go to Wix.com and create an account and build your website. And there's a button, there's options for you to add forms to your site. But if you do enroll in the course, I will be walking you through exactly how you can add the forms for both parents and employees, how you can connect them to those workflows that I showed you before, and how to create automations for them. Chandra says, is it difficult to create a QR code? No, that's very easy. And I'll show you that right now. That's not a part of the course. It is very easy to do. You can go to Wix QR code generator, right? And then click on the first option that comes up. When you go to QR code generator, click on create QR code. You would click on the button that says URL. You would take the URL that you're trying to make a QR code for and paste it, copy and paste it. Now your QR code is there. If you were to scan this with your phone right now, it's going to bring you right to this web page. That took literally, 15 seconds. Again, you're just going to go to Google, type in QR code generator. Then you're going to or sorry, more specifically, there are many, as you can see. If you type in QR code generator, there's a lot, but you're going to specifically type in Wix because it's very fast and easy. Click on create QR code and URL. I'm going to go ahead and end this webinar here. Again, if you're interested, please be sure to scan this QR code or go to childcaresites.com/childcare remote control to apply for my new course. I'm really excited to host this with all the participants this summer. If you have any questions about the course, you can email me to send an email to Dani@childcaresites.com. If you have any questions, I'll check my email, Dani@childcaresites.com, or you can scan the QR code and find out more information and read through some frequently asked questions. Okay? Have a great night, everybody.